All right, let's kick this off. So, as you all know, or may or may not know, Abraxas has been around for nearly 20 years, and the leader of Abraxas since it started has been none other than John Avina, the one on your screen, president and founder of Abraxas Energy Consulting. If you look at his LinkedIn, there's other titles, as he calls himself a chief butt kicker, self-proclaimed superstar, and winner of all contests everywhere, also president. But most of those things, well, I'll let you decide which of those things are true or not. But with that said, I'll send it over to John, and he'll take it from here and guide this presentation.
Well, they're all true, by the way.
Okay, there's going to be a poll up on your screen, so everybody just vote which ones are true. Yeah.
Yeah, he started this one off good. He's really started off telling the truth. I guess I'll believe everything else he has to say. Take a look at this book. I was just looking at this. Let's see if I can make it. 10 Ways to Avoid Taxes. Tyler, can you see that? Tyler?
Yeah, we can see it. It's good.
So I was just looking through this because I was on camera. I didn't want to look stupid. So here's rule number 11. One of you, Jack. So this is one I haven't listened to, but maybe should. Tax strategy number 11, don't live in California. That's how you avoid taxes. Okay, so let's get to work. So this is, I think it's going to be a pretty good webinar. I hope so. And I wanted to, well, you can see what I'm going to go over. I won't read all those things, but I put a lot of thought into this. I've been thinking about this for quite a while. There's so many business books out there. Especially for people who are starting new businesses. And you know what? I think they're missing really the most important thing, which I'm going to go over. And I've been thinking, I'm going to write a book on this, and I will. I'm going to write a book on this. So anyway, let's get going. So we'll start with my story. This is my first website. I started Abraxas in 2001. And I was just a one-man shop. And let me explain how I started. I got lucky, actually. I used to work for SRC Systems. They're the ones that wrote Metrics, and they wrote another software called Market Manager. So you can see I have that on this website, Market Manager and Metrics. And we got bought by Silicon Energy in 1999, and we were all going to get rich. Silicon Energy was like the Cadillac. It's like the Tesla of cars. No, the Tesla of energy information sites, and we were going to all make so much money. And then the dot-com crash came, and then the layoffs came, and we never made that money. And my name was coming up. I knew it. I was going to get laid off quite soon. And so what I did was I talked to management and said, look, you have this Metrics and this Market Manager. You don't care about it. I do all the tech support. I write the manuals. I do all the teaching. I manage the software development. Let me just take this off your hands. I'll take it with me. I'll start my own company. And they're like, good, take it. Please take it. And so we made some kind of deal. I don't own Metrics. I don't own Market Manager. A company called Itron, who bought Silicon Energy, does. But we pay royalties for our sales. But that's how I started. And I had a really lucky start in that it was my company, but it was me. I made money the first month. And for most new business owners, that's not how it works. For most folks, oh, geez, someone's trying to call me. That's great. Okay, for most business owners, it's not easy at all. They don't have their customers, or sometimes they have customers lined up, but maybe they don't have clients that are, they don't have a full year of clients lined up. And often during the first 6-9 months, they're kind of scared because they don't really know if it's going to work. And there's a really good chance it won't work. It's kind of like, I guess you can say it's like playing poker. Maybe you're bluffing and it might work and it might not work. I mean, maybe you're playing the 5-card, what is it, Texas Hold'em. And maybe he will turn that last card, the dealer will, and you're going to get a flush, but maybe you won't. And that's kind of like business. It's like, do I keep putting money into the pot? Do I keep putting money into the pot? Or I just fold and just run away and just say, forget it, this ain't for me. That's kind of what business is when you first start. Unfortunately, it's pretty tough for folks. So I remember when KW started, Jim Kelsey and Kevin Warren started, they went to college with me, and they were pretty nervous when they started because they didn't really have a lot of business, and they've gone on to do really, really well. But that's how it is at the beginning. Anyway, let's talk about benefits and drawbacks. The benefits are fantastic, and they're better than you can imagine. I mean, yes, you could be like Elon Musk and be the richest person in the world, but I doubt you will be. But you can make a lot of money. I'm serious, a lot, and there are great tax advantages, great ones, which you probably don't. Some of you don't know about, some of you do. But the tax advantages, that's money. It doesn't, at first I didn't really realize that until time passed a bit. Maybe it took me a decade or two to figure it out. It's like, wow, that's tax advantages are money. Also, you get to go on vacation whenever you want. The drawback is you can lose everything. You can lose everything you own. You can lose, if you're married, you can lose your spouse. You can lose your health. You can lose, and you can lose your freedom. You can end up in jail. You can lose everything. That's the drawback. So business is, it's risky. More benefits. You don't work for idiots anymore. You can be your own person. You don't have to conform to silly corporate behavior. I used to work for Johnson Controls, and look, Johnson Controls, I'm not going to say Johnson is a bad organization. I'm not saying that at all. But I was there in 1994 in one branch, and every branch is totally different from every other branch. And my branch wasn't managed very well, and no one was really too happy there. We didn't really enjoy each other. People didn't even go out to lunch together. And I don't know, we weren't, how do I say? I felt like a used car salesman. And you don't have that or you shouldn't have that if you work for yourself, because you get to make the rules. You get to decide what you're going to say to clients, and you don't have to say things that you don't feel comfortable with. You will never be morally compromised unless you choose to be morally compromised, which I hope you never do. Now, the drawback, and this one was huge for me for about 15 years, is you become your business and you lose yourself. So I remember when I was young, not young, when my first 15 years in this business, people would ask me, "Hey, how you doing?" And I would say, "Well, sales are kind of down and I'm a little worried." Me and my business were one and the same. And when people asked how was I responded how my business was. That's I don't think you're supposed to do that, but that's what I did. And I think it's probably pretty easy to fall into this. And you can lose your sense of self. I remember every year thinking, God, this business, it's got its claws into me. It's like I'm building my own prison. And every year, it's like I added more bars and I made it even more difficult for myself to escape. And I added, it's like adding more chains and making it worse and worse and worse. And it's like, I can't give anymore. And then the next year, I'm giving even more. And I look back and think, God, it was easy then. Yeah, so that is true. That is definitely a drawback. Another benefit, you can rely on your own wits. If you see things, if you see life as a game like I do, and most people don't see life as a game. There's all different ways to see life. It's a dance, it's a struggle, it's a war, whatever you want. But I always saw it as a game, and the idea was to find out how to win. And if you see it that way, business is good because you can rely on your own wits. And if you have faith in your own capacity to be able to get out of any situation, in your own capacity to be able to resolve problems that are impossible to resolve or to survive in the end or whatever, then business is great. And I found in my own experience, because I've been in some really bad situations, bad meaning way in debt, or bad meaning they were thinking about not graduating me from masters, when I was in school, things like that. I found that when my back's against the wall, that's when I win. So I'm kind of like the rope-a-dope guy, like Rambo. It's like, or not Rambo, who's the guy? Now I can't think of it. Rocky. Go ahead and beat the crap out of me. That's what the world would do, and that's when I actually win. But okay, but the drawbacks associated with that is you have times of incredible stress, and it's debilitating. And sometimes you don't know what to do. And you have to do something, and you do not know what to do. Also, what I mean by that is, let's say you have a business and you have a few people working for you. What if there is something's going on. There's a client that's unhappy. A client threatens to sue you, or some other, company is threatening to somehow take all your business away or something like that. It's like, oh, what do I do? I don't know what to do. And you have to figure out what to do. And that is, I guess, sometimes it's a drawback because you need to do something. But really, that is an opportunity for you to actually prove yourself to yourself and to be great. Another drawback, and this one's huge. This one's very huge. It's emotional triggers. In all businesses, there's going to be ups and downs. I'll talk about that a little bit later, but you will have downs. You're going to have great highs, great successes, and you're going to have great failures. And it's just, that's the way it works. Business is like a sine wave, up and down. You don't make the same amount every year. Sometimes you lose. And when you fail, so there's all kinds of ways to fail, but let's say you will have failures. And when you fail, you might have certain emotional triggers. They're like buttons that were going to come up in you, and these are some that came up in me. So like like fear of failure. I'm a failure. It's like, we failed and I can't do anything right. I'm not good enough. I'm stupid. God, how stupid am I? Or sometimes, like if clients abandon you, or maybe some employees have, not abandon you, clients leave and they find someone else, or employees do the same. You might have, this thing of like this, it might hit a trigger of abandonment. But these are all emotional triggers that have to do with your own psychology. And this is key to be successful in business, actually in life in general, is to recognize when you have been triggered and to realize, oh, that's just a trigger. I'm not going to act on that stuff. Like, let's say you think you're failing, or you had a little failure of a project, and then some voice says you're a failure, you can't do anything right. And then if you respond to that and you allow that to, let's say, take over you, you're going to start acting like a failure, and you're going to sabotage your business and your life. And so it's super important to be able to separate out the personal from business, and do not make emotional decisions. That's what I'm getting to. That is very important. I know it's just a few words in this slide, but it's super important. Okay, so what are other benefits? Let's see, you are answerable to nobody. I mentioned that, and but you kind of are to everyone, in that there are employees, you can get sued, sometimes for dumb reasons and sometimes for great reasons, by clients and by employees, and sometimes there's stupid government regulations, and more that's becoming the case, especially in California. And so that kind of makes business suck. Okay, let's move on to the next. So those are my benefits and drawbacks of business. But when the money comes, and it takes years, I think, and maybe look, I've only done this once, so I only know my experience. And for some people, maybe it'll come very quickly, but I believe it takes years. But when it starts to come, it is amazing what happens. It is amazing. Okay, another thing, it can go to hell at any moment. Any moment. You're never, ever safe in business. So here are some of the things that could happen. Of course, lawsuits. In fact, lawsuits are absolutely, let's say, terrifying until you've been in one. Have I been in one yet? No. But we did have the National Labor Relations Board after us at one point, and I was terrified, and because I've never done it before. And so, fear often involves the unknown. I don't know what this means, and I have found basically that, or a rule that I use is, if I'm scared of something, I have to run at it, because usually on the other side of that issue, there's total calm. There's total, and so it usually, that big monster that was facing you, it wasn't there. It was never there to start with. And so anyway, the lawsuits will be one of those things. If someone is threatening to sue you, it's like, you know what? You should look at it like, well, maybe now I get to learn about lawsuits. That's the way to approach it. This is something that has, let's say, worried me, is what if we send some of our employees abroad? What if they get kidnapped? What do we do? We've bought insurance for that, but maybe the insurance company doesn't care. Maybe they just want to, limit their. If the kidnappers ask for $2 million, what if the insurance company's only willing to give $1 million? Then what? What if an employee dies? They fall off a roof, or they, fall through a fan or something like that. I mean, all of this stuff, that's kind of scary and awful. The IRS, for some reason, can get all pissed off at you, or any government agency. And like I said, sometimes it's because you deserve it, and sometimes because maybe you angered the wrong person, and they just have some petty thing, and they're going to show you who's boss, and it isn't you. Yeah, so that can happen. The pipeline can dry up, where sales go away, and then you're wondering, oh, geez, is this the end, or is this not the end? I don't know. Or bankers can call in a loan. So one of the things, when you grow your business, at some point, you're going to have to take out a line of credit. What a line of credit is, it's a loan, or it's actually a fund that the bank has. And then when you need money, you can take some, and then you put it back. But you can't keep it for a long time. You have to have a zero balance at some point for a month, I believe. It's 30 days. But you can, you need a line of credit because by law, you have to pay all your employees every payday. If you, let's say, don't have any money, just because, let's say, all these people owe you money and they're not paying you, and you don't have any cash, what do? If you don't pay your employees, then the National Labor Relations Board is going to come after you, okay? And that's against the law, not to pay your employees. That's why you have a line of credit. So then you borrow money from the bank, you pay the employees, and then you owe money, and then eventually the people pay you, hopefully, and then you can pay off your line of credit. That's what a line of credit is. But what if the bankers call in the loan and you don't have the money? So those are the type of things that can happen that can cause massive problems. I know I'm focusing on negative, but there's so much positive as well. It's just, there's a positive and negative in business. Okay. This I took from this book. It's a great book. It's not a book for, let's say, first-time business or first-year business people, but if you've been in the business, I don't know if you can see it or not, but I have it down here. It's The Hard Thing About Hard Things by Ben Horowitz. It is a book for someone who's been in business maybe for 5 years or more and has employees and all of that. It is so brutally honest. I was just amazed how, I just love that book. But anyway, he talks about the struggle, and that's when you wonder, why did I even do this? And you notice that at some point that you can't taste your food anymore. That's what stress is. Stress is another word for fear, by the way. You go on vacation to feel better and you feel worse. I've been there. I've done that. You're in over your head. Done it. You want the pain to stop. I've been there. Struggle is the land of broken promises and crushed dreams. It's all true. But struggle's not failure. Struggle causes failure, especially if you're weak. Always if you're weak. Most people aren't strong enough, and that is truly what it's about. So I talked to a couple people I knew in Canada. They used to work for Johnson, and they started a business. And one of them still has a business. So they started as partners, and one, she dropped out. She couldn't take it. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it. Some of us have the psychological makeup to do this. They accept risk, and some of us do not. And for those who do not, that's just fine. Here are some stats, no point in reading it, but generally most businesses don't make it that long, and most businesses don't make a lot of money, okay? So if you make it, then you can start feeling like, you know what, I'm special, because you are. Okay, so I'm going to play a quick video by Kevin O'Leary. He's not my favorite guy, but I thought this was kind of interesting, so let's give it a shot.
Sure. My first lesson, which is, encrypted in my DNA now, was the idea of working for, pay. And my first job was in high school, and I got it specifically because there was a girl in my grade that I was really interested in, and she got a job at the shoe store in the mall, and I was able to get a job across in the ice cream parlor. And my plan was, when the mall closed down, we could go out, hang out together, which was a good plan. And so I told her, look, I got a job across the way. And my first day on the job, I'll never forget it. She was in the window putting in the shoes there. It's a small mall. And I was in this ice cream store scooping ice cream. And when people, my first day was owned by a woman. I'll never forget it. She says, look, when people ask you for a sampler, here's a little wooden spoon, give them a little sample. But what happens when that occurs, when people do samples, they take their gum out of their mouth and they throw it on the floor. So all day long, gum was piling up on the floor. Mexican tiles in this place. So the first day is over, and she said, you did a great job. You sold $4,000 of ice cream, whatever it was. But now you've got to finish up, and you've got to take all the gum off the floor. Now, at that moment, the girl I was interested in was looking at me, waiting to see when I was going to walk out of the store. And I realized if I get down on my knees and scrape gum, I'm in trouble here. This is not a good look. I said to her, look, you hired me as a scooper, not a scraper. And she said, no, I hired you as an employee. Do whatever I say. I own this store. Whatever I say, you're going to do. And I said, I don't think so. If you want to hire somebody to take gum off the floor, that's a different job. If I'd known that, I probably wouldn't take this position. She said, how about this? You're fired. And I went, whoa, what's that mean? And she said, it means you get back on your bicycle, go home, don't come back here. I'll send you for your today's pay. I was so humiliated when I got home and explained that to my mother. She said, you should have done what she asked. And I realized right then, this is the important lesson. This is one of those pivotal moments. In life, there's two types of people. There's the people that own the store, and there's the people that scrape the shit off the floor. And you have to decide, which one are you? I'm not saying it's bad to be an employee, but she taught me such an important lesson. The humiliation of not controlling your own destiny is evident in that story, because that's the way I read it. I thought, this is horrible. Whatever she says I have to do, I'm not going to live my life that way. I never worked another day in my life with somebody. Ever.
All right. I hope you found that amusing. Should you own your own business? Okay, it depends on your psychological makeup. It really does. So one of them is, can you face certain failure? Can you face it? And can you keep going? That's so important. Can you remain steadfast when everything's going wrong? Do you have fear under control, or can you keep it under control in very, let's say, stressful times? Success is 80% psychology. It's 80% psychology, 20% execution. This is a Tony Robbins thing. I don't know if anyone's really measured it, but I believe it. I believe it. I'm going to play another video. This is Tony Robbins. He's going to talk about 6 human needs. I think it's worthy of a listen, so we're gonna do it.
Quickly, 6 needs. Let me tell you what they are. First one, certainty. Now, these are not goals or desires. These are universal. Everyone needs certainty that they can avoid pain, at least be comfortable. Now, how do you get it? Control everybody, develop a skill, give up, smoke a cigarette. And if you got totally certain, ironically, even though we all need that, like you're not certain about your health or your children or money, you don't think about much money. You're not sure the ceiling's going to hold up. You're going to listen to any speaker. But while we go for certainty differently, we get total certainty. We get what? What do you feel if you're certain? You know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen. What would you feel? Blow it out of your mind. So God, in her infinite wisdom, gave us a second human need, which is uncertainty. We need variety. We need surprise. How many of you here love surprises? Say, bullshit. You like the surprises you want. The ones you don't want, you call problems, but you need them. So variety is important. Have you ever rented a video or a film that you've already seen? Who's done this? Get a fucking life. Right? Why are you doing it? You're certain it's good because you read it before, saw it before, but you're hoping it's been long enough you've forgotten if there's variety. Third human need, critical, significance. We all need to feel important, special, unique. You can get it by making more money. You can do it by being more spiritual. You can do it by getting yourself in a situation where you put more tattoos and earrings in places humans don't want to know. Whatever it takes. The fastest way to do this, if you have no background, no culture, no belief in resources or resourcefulness, is violence. If I put a gun to your head and I live in the hood, instantly I'm significant. 0 to 10, how high? 10. How certain am I you're going to respond to me? 10. How much uncertainty? Who knows what's going to happen next? Kind of exciting, like climbing up into a cave and doing that stuff all the way down there. Total variety and uncertainty. And it's significant, isn't it? So you're willing to risk your life for it. So that's why violence has always been around and will be around unless we have a consciousness change as a species. Now, you can get significance a million ways, but to be significant, you got to be unique and different. Here's what we really need. Connection and love, fourth need. We all want it. Most people settle for connection because love's too scary. Don't want to get hurt. Who here has ever been hurt in an intimate relationship? Say it. If you don't raise your hand, you'll have had other shit too. Come on. And you're going to get hurt again. Aren't you glad you came to this positive visit? But here's what's true. We need it. We can do it through intimacy, through friendship, through prayer, through walking in nature. If nothing else works for you, get a dog. Don't get a cat, get a dog. Because if you leave for 2 minutes, it's like you've been going for 6 months when you show back up again 5 minutes later, right? Now, these first 4 needs, every human finds a way to meet. Even if you lie to yourself, even if you have split personalities. But the last two needs, the first four needs are called the needs of the personality, is what I call it. The last two are the needs of the spirit. And this is where fulfillment comes. You won't get fulfillment from the first four. You'll figure a way, smoke, drink, do whatever, meet the first four. But the last two, number five, you must grow. We all know the answer here. If you don't grow, you what? If a relationship's not growing, if a business is not growing, if you're not growing, it doesn't matter how much money you have, how many friends you have, how many people love you, you feel like hell. And the reason we grow, I believe, is so we have something to give of value. Because the sixth need is to contribute beyond ourselves. Because we all know, corny as it sounds, the secret of living is giving. We all know life's not about me, it's about we. This culture knows that. This room knows that. And it's exciting. When you see Nicholas up here talking about his $100 computer, the most passionate, exciting thing is here's a genius, but he's got a calling now. You can feel the difference in him. And it's beautiful. And that calling can touch other people. In my own life, my life was touched because when I was 11 years old.
All right, I'm going to move on to, I'm going to skip ahead in this video to another section. Okay.
It shapes you. Here's what's different about people. We have the same needs, but are you a certainty freak? Is that what you value most, or uncertainty? This man here couldn't be a certainty freak if he climbed through those caves. Are you driven by significance or love? We all need all six, but whatever your lead system is tilts you in a different direction. And as you move in a direction, you have a destination or destiny. The second piece is the map. Think of that as the operating system tells you how to get there. And some people's map is,
Okay, so essentially what I want you to pick up from that, the six human needs, I think that's real. I think he's got something there. Here they are. And all of us, there are two needs we all need to meet all of these needs. All of us have these needs, but for each of us, we have a couple of these needs that seem more important than the others. One of mine is, it's importance. In fact, probably anyone who gives webinars, that might be one of their important needs. It's like, I need to feel important, And another one for me, actually, I asked my wife, and she says it's love. I'm one of those guys that needs people to love me. So I didn't know that. For a lot of folks, their first need is security. Or some people, they just love variety. They love change or new things. But I want you to think about it. What are your most important needs? Because this is important for you to understand. If you know your most important needs, then you might understand why you do what you do. It's also actually, as a sales tool, it's really good. And also, if you're an employer, it's good to figure that out about your employees. Once you understand their basic needs, then you know how to give them what they want. Same with their clients. If you know what they need, you know how to give them what they want, because that's what success is all about. But the reason I brought up the important needs is, if security is one of your two most important needs, do not start a business, because you will be miserable and you'll probably quit pretty darn quick as soon as bad times come, and they will come. Okay, that's the reason I brought this up, is I wanted to find some way to weed out some of you who are thinking, yeah, I think I want to start a business. Well, if security is one of your number one or two of your top two values or needs, then don't do it. Okay. All right. So next, I'm going to go over 12. It's 11 or 12. I don't remember. I might have deleted one, but I think it's 12 pieces of advice. And so this is advice I picked up over 20 years of screwing up. Actually, to be honest, I screwed up. In fact, let me back up a little bit and tell you a little more of my history. So when I started, I'll even back up to here. So when I started my company, it was just me. I lived way out in the country. I think it was like 40 minutes to a supermarket, the nearest supermarket, way out in the country. And it was just me. And my wife lived in the house too. And I was on some property. And I would, I wouldn't see outsiders. People outside of my in-laws for 1-2 weeks at a time. I was out there. And I remember, let's just say it was me. And I worked a lot. I worked a lot of hours. And that's when I wrote Report Maker my first couple of years. And then I was thinking, I could use some people. If I had a helper, they could do this and they could do that and they could do this and they could do that. That would be great. And so I got a little office in town and I hired a college student. And the college student turned out to be, my first two hires were great hires, and they turned out to be super, super helpful. One of them was a great marketing person. She had her own website in high school. And so she did all this great marketing stuff for my website. And this other person had this vision of making my company a big one. I mean, I didn't know. He's just a college kid. And here I am as some adult, and he's kind of, implanting these ideas of, you can grow, you can make a lot of money. And it's like, really? Huh? And so anyway, but I hired college kids because college kids are the easiest hires you'll ever have. They're just happy to have a job. You can give them a chair from the 1950s and they'll sit in it and they won't complain. You can buy these fold up tables from Home Depot, and that's what we used to have. And you can put like 4 people at the table, just like we used to sit in the library, when we were working in high school. You just put them all at the table and working with their laptops, in their folding chairs, and they're happy to be there. Now you do that with adults, they're going to complain. The chair's uncomfortable and I need more space, and where am I going to put my pictures and all that other stuff? And so I was able to, let's say, I'd never hired anyone before. I was an engineer. I was not a business person. I was not a boss. I'd never supervised anyone. And so I was able to practice and screw up on these college students. And I made many mistakes. At one point, I think I had 20 something employees, all college students. They were really poorly managed. I'm sure half of them didn't do anything. And I went into debt, and I was like 67,000 in debt. And I think this was before I had a line of credit, and I was terrified. I was terrified. I remember, I'm a Freemason. I remember being in the lodge and trying to just walk a few steps, and I couldn't because I was so paralyzed with fear. It's like, what do? I don't know what to do. I'm in debt and I'm going to lose everything I own. I mean, was I going to? No, but that's what I thought. But anyway, eventually, then I hired my first adults, and then I hired 2 adults, and I started hiring people who are smarter than me and better than me. And that's all I do now. If they're not better than me, I don't really want them. Okay, so let's go on to the advice. This is number 1. You will be the biggest drag on your business. The business will reflect you, your fears, your insecurities, your carelessness. Everything about you is going to percolate into the culture. I mean, think about, your first jobs you worked in. My wife, she used to work at a beauty supply store. Right now, she's a ranch hand, and there's all kinds of, let's say, she could tell me all kinds of stories about, how dysfunctional the company is, but I know it all comes from the person at the top. It's all about the owner. The owner doesn't trust employees, therefore they have to do all these things. Or the owner is totally unorganized, therefore they waste all this time and energy and money and resources doing all this stuff. I mean, it all reflects you. And so it's most important to work on you. That means you need to educate yourself. We'll talk a little more about educating yourself. You need to meditate daily. And you can do that there's all these apps online. You can go and meditate with those. It doesn't matter. The reason why meditation is valuable is meditation will allow you to handle any stressful situation with calm. You don't get excited. That's really valuable. You need to exercise. You need to do that often so that you can get your stress out of your body, so you don't let it affect your mind or your life. And you need therapy from time to time. When something's bugging you, you need to go see a therapist. You really should attend seminars on business and success. Okay, so we're in the energy business. Don't just learn about energy. Don't just become the best person at chillers or whatever. If you can't run a business you're not very good at business, but you're great at chillers, you're going to fail. I'm sorry. You need to know business. So you have to admit to yourself, once you're a business owner, I am a business person. You've got to make that decision or that, recognition. I don't know what the right word is. Invest in your education every year. Every year, you've got to do this. You've got to attend seminars, okay? And you need to read business books every year. So I make a goal to read 4 books a year. I've listed a few of these here. The one on the left, The E-Myth, that's the first book I would have any person who's thinking about a business or who just started a business, they need to read that book. That is the book. Dan Kennedy's books, I think I have some of these here. Well, it doesn't matter. You got pictures here. But Dan Kennedy's books are great. Very, they're great books on how to do all kinds of different things. But they're really worth reading. They're fantastic books. He's a genius. So I strongly recommend Dan Kennedy books and the E-Myth. But these are good first year books. Okay, here's some to read a little bit later. Keith Cunningham is really, really good. But don't read them your first year. You're not ready. This might be year 3 books or year 4 books, but you need to understand. You need to read Keith Cunningham. And then the hard thing about the hard things, that's the one I mentioned before about the guy saying the struggle is, and he's got, that's more when you have a crew of people working for you and how to deal with the crew and things like that. These are great books that you really need to read, but do read books, including books on sales. Okay, you need to think long term. You're not going to get rich quick. It's just not going to happen. And often, I mean, we've done this many, many times, and maybe I've been wrong, but I think I'm right. I know I'm right. I'm always thinking long term. I'm willing to lose money on a job here or there because I'm thinking long term. I want a good product, or I want respect from my clients, or whatever it is, or there's other business coming. Some companies will. We worked with one consulting company who, by the way, lost just about all their staff due to hard times. But we contracted them. I think they had, I don't know, maybe 12 people working for us. They did a crappy job. They ran out of budget because they were just spinning their wheels, and then they stopped working. It's like, well, we're out of budget. We're not going to work anymore. It's like, are you serious? Well, I mean, maybe that's why they're not, there's only 2 of them left in that company. That's not how it works, okay? You need to over-deliver. You need to over-deliver. Your customers need to love you. So, okay. Growth. Yeah, some companies get killed by too much growth. You don't want to grow 100% every year. I mean, yeah, it always sounds great, but when you grow too much, what happens is then your customer service starts to fail, and the quality of your products and services start to fail because you hire all these new people. They don't understand the culture. They don't know how to do what they're doing. They're not being managed right, and that can really kill you. The best customers are repeat customers. You'll hear that from Dan Kennedy all the time. Repeat customers don't cost money to get. New customers are very expensive and very difficult to get. And yeah, I guess that's it. Okay, you need to learn to sell, and you need to recognize that you are now a business person. You're not an engineer anymore. Oh yes, you have an engineering background, but if you don't have sales, you don't have a company, you need to attend sales seminars. Here's a couple of really great sales coaches. Mark Jewell is fantastic, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen him already. He is fantastic, and he focuses on the energy sector. You can go see his class, the same class every year, and every year you'll get something new out of it. Grant Cardone is a very aggressive salesperson. First time I listened to him, I was really put off by him, but I respect him so much now. He is fantastic. He does these 10X webinars or seminars every year. Yeah, you might consider going to some of his seminars. Okay. Do not become a commodity. What I mean is, do not keep lowering your price so you'll get the job. I mean, yes, I understand your first job. You need your first job. You need to build a resume. Okay, maybe you'll work for free. Maybe you'll work for almost nothing. Your first job or 2. But after that, stop it. Because if everything, you name it out there is a commodity. But you know what? Everything that is a commodity, you can find where people are making money at it. I mean, there's the obvious thing of Starbucks, right? Folgers versus Starbucks. I don't know how they did it. They had Folgers cost what? Maybe 30 cents a cup of coffee, and then Starbucks can charge you $4.50. Or there's those dumb, I don't know, I can't think of it. There's those coolers, people used to have thermoses or things that keep their food warm, and now they buy these really expensive, gosh, I don't know what they're called, but they're, they probably cost 10 times more. This guy, it might have been Dan Kennedy who was talking about pricing, and he said, even underwear Underwear. You can go to Walmart and you can buy underwear for what, $1 a pair, maybe 2 or 3. But you can also go online and find them for $300 a pair. You can. So, and the people who are charging $300, they're probably making $150 at least in profit, and someone's buying it. So do not allow yourself to become a commodity. Energy auditing, one of the things we do, is commoditized. And there are a lot of clients, especially the federal government, who wants low bid. And what they get when they do low bid is garbage. And what happens is other people will see those audits. They do see them, like ESCOs. If you're working for the government, you do crappy work, ESCOs will see it. We had one recently who talked to us because we worked with some other clients and with some other company, and we did a low bid job. And it wasn't very good. And an ESCO was talking to us. It's like, yeah, I don't think we want to use you because, you know, we've seen some of your work. It was really crappy. It's like, yeah, because that was low bid. And right, you don't do it. Do not do crappy work. That is so important. And I know, you know, all of us are going to break that rule from time to time, but please do not do it. It's a great way to go broke. No shortcuts on quality. I mentioned that. Other people are going to see it, and that's how you make your reputation. This is, I think it's kind of important. At least it's worked for me. I mean, there's been other companies that have not. No, actually, now I think about my successful, the people I know who are successful. They've all done this now. You need to speak, teach, and publish. You do. You need to speak at conferences. You need to publish papers. You need to teach. It's really valuable. I mean, look, I'll just say it blatantly. This is how it works. I have a friend who is kind of a, he's kind of a success type guy. You know, he didn't know anything about yoga, let's say, but he was looking around all these different markets and he thought, you know, there aren't any coaches for making successful yoga studios. So I'm going to get into yoga. So he didn't go and practice yoga. What he did was, I think he learned, maybe interviewed a few yoga studio owners or whatever, and then he wrote an ebook on yoga and how to make yoga studios successful. And all of a sudden, by publishing this book, he became the expert on making yoga studios successful. He became the expert. All he did was publish something. Okay, it's the weirdest thing, but when you publish or when you speak, people think that you're important or that you have something to say. It's true. And they're more likely to want to do business with you. Okay, on employees, this is my rule. I don't know if anyone else does this, but I think it's super important to hire people who are better than you, smarter than you, and better than you. That's super important. And if you have poor employees, it's better to get rid of them earlier than later. We, unfortunately, often will get rid of them later, but that's not the way it should be. Because usually when you hold on to them too long, they're going to screw up even worse. It's just the longer you hold on to them, the more they're going to screw up and the more you will be sorry. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Also, know your employees. Know what they want. Understand their 6 values and what it is that motivates them. What do they want to get in life? And help them get there. And sometimes that means they need to leave your company. You know what? If you can help them along the way, do it. At least that's my thinking. That's how I play. I mean, if you think about it though, I mean, you can say, well, no, I'm in it for me and I want to get ahead. Therefore, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to shield my employees from, let's say, learning that they could do anything they want to do in life. No, I don't want them to know that. I want them only to know that they could be the best worker possible for me. That's not, and you know, that thought occurs in me, but no, I'm not going there. So, I mean, I send my people to Tony Robbins. I want them to see that they can be anything they want and they can go do it. Okay, this one I learned much later. I learned this probably in year 16, maybe year 17. And if I would have learned it in year 10, I probably would be sitting on an extra $400,000 to $600,000 right now. You need to understand your numbers. What does that mean? The balance sheet, profit and loss, and cash flow. You need to understand this. You don't need to your first year, maybe your second year, you're just trying to figure things out, but this is what it's all about. You know, business, it's a game and you lose when you run out of money. So you better watch your money. It's super, super important. It's like if you don't understand this stuff and you don't have, let's say, a good controller or someone who's producing these reports that are reliable, it's like being a captain of, let's say, or no, a pilot in an airplane and having no instrumentation and just going on gut. It's like, I think it's right about down there. I don't think that the wind's going to be very bad. I think we're going to be okay. That kind of stuff. You can. It's not good. It's like bowling with having a curtain between you and the bowling pins. That is what it's like if you don't understand this stuff. You need to know what is going on. How profitable are you? Do you have money? Why don't you have money? What can I do to have more money? When I mean money, the reason why businesses fail is they don't have any money. They may have a lot of profit, but they don't have any money because no one's paying them on time, or they spent all their money and now they got to make payroll and they can't. So it's all about cash flow. So that's super important. Keith Cunningham is the writer of this book. You can go to his website. He's got all kinds of good coaching and information. Another one, taxes. Taxes are super important. You need to learn about taxes and how to reduce them. That should be some of the books you should read. Actually, even early on, learn how to reduce taxes. Because, I have it right here. Let's say you're a consultant, you make 15% profit. So you had $1 million in revenues, you make $150K in profit. Okay, but if you got a $150,000 tax credit, that all goes to your bottom line. That all goes to profit. It's like getting tax credits or tax deductions is more profitable than getting business. It's the craziest thing. But taxes is super, super important. You need to understand this and you need to learn how to make the tax system work for you. And in general, it's good if you understand money. The more you understand money in general, the more you will have. That's all there is to it. Oh, look at that, I'm almost done. So I mentioned this earlier, there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be ups and downs. We've certainly had them. I've felt like we were going under 3 times. At one point, we were up, I think, $300,000 and about, this is kind of a crazy story. I don't know if I should tell it to you. I don't want you to know how crazy I am. Well, let's just say I had, I don't know how to, I won't tell you, but I'll just say we were up $300,000 and 6 months later, we were down $300,000 or $400,000. It's like, oh God, we got out of it. At one point, actually, it was only a few years ago, we had a credit line of $350,000. We had $325,000 borrowed, and we had money borrowed on credit cards. We couldn't pay off our credit cards. We got out of that. We haven't had, our credit line's been zero for like a year and a half now. But, there's going to be ups and there's going to be downs. That's just the way it is. And you can get really stressed. So if you read some of this, like this bottom one, it says, I wish I could die to escape this hell. That may be a thought that would occur to you. It's occurred to me in the past. I mean, I wasn't going to go and find a knife or anything like that, but it's just anything to escape the stress until you can master stress and master yourself. Well, anyway, there's one more. This one's important. I've heard many horror stories on this. Partners, be careful. Be careful with partners, especially when you're starting. In fact, this is what we did when we started in federal government work. We signed a contract with someone, and if I was wiser, the contract would be a lot different than it was. The people who work for me who are on this know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's a contract I signed maybe 10 or 12 years ago. I'm still paying this guy. This year I'm going to pay him $200,000. He hasn't done anything, but it's in the contract, so I got to do it. And there were no exit clauses, So there you go. I totally screwed up. So be careful with your contracts, with your partners. Some people are unethical and looking to screw you over. I fortunately have managed to avoid almost all of them. I've been really lucky that way. But there are people who are predators. They're just evil people, and they are looking to screw you. And they may come across as really kind and nice, and then they will screw you. I just read a biography. I just finished it yesterday of P.T. Barnum. It's a pretty fun book, and that happened to him. He signed this deal to be partners with some group, some clock company, and they were going to move into this town he was building. He actually built East Bridgeport, Connecticut. He built that town. That was his. He bought the land, divided up in lots, and then started moving all these people in. Anyway, they totally lied to him, and he ended up in debt for all of this money. I think it took him 4 or 5 years to pay it all off. It's just crazy what people can do. So be very careful with partners. Pay lawyers to look at your contracts. I know you don't want to pay that money, but do it. Remember, people have their own interests, so you arrange things with them so that your success and theirs align. Okay, that's kind of the way to work. Okay, I think that's my piece of advice. I'm not going to read them because you heard them all. I am done with my presentation.